Good evening, everyone. Happy Fat Tuesday. City of Orange Township held in council chambers of City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, March 5th, 2019, at 7:07 p.m. Roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Here.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr. is absent. Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams is absent. Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
And Council President Coley.
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the city clerk. Chris M. Hartwick is running late. Gracia R. Montillas, the city attorney. Kenneth Douglas, the fire director. Harold Johnson Jr. is present. Marty Mays, the public works director and planning. Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer. And Lisette Sanchez, record support technician. Please stand for a moment of silence.
Let's just remember the victims of the deadly tornado in Alabama. Thank you.
Please be apprised anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall sign the book. Each person signing the book will be allowed to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et sec, the Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, published in a record transcript on July 12, 2018, and posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the city clerk. The first item is a matters for discussion. A presentation of the corrective action plan? No? It's not happening?
Mr. Mack?
It's not happening.
It's not happening. Donna K. Williams arrived at 7:08.
Whoa. Mr. What's the, will you want to put this on the record as to what the status is?
I don't know what arrangements the business administrator made with the governing bodies, so I don't have an answer on the question.
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams.
the BA asked that we present it at the next meeting.
The corrective action plan. How much more time?
The next meeting, sir.
Madam Clerk?
I don't see any other matters of discussion. Any resolutions, ordinances on tonight's agenda would the council like to discuss? Just for the record, and the BA, when he arrives, can confirm this. 69 has been withdrawn. 76 has been withdrawn. 83, 84, and 85 have been withdrawn. 81 was amended, and the only thing was amended was the percentage of changes added and the approving resolution for the contract. And the bill list was amended by adding the water and sewer operating account.
Can you say that 81 again?
81?
69.
1 second. 69, 76, 83, 84, and 85. Mr. Mack, I don't know if you could give a better explanation as what was amended on the bill list, but I believe it was something on page 9.
The original bill list omitted the water and sewer, and the original bill list was a total of $5,073,000 versus the new bill list, which is $5,398,000.
Okay. Resolution 81-2019. It was amended. The original resolution submitted did not have the approving resolution 47-2017, and then in the 1, 2, 3rd whereas clause, they've added the amount of change, 19.1%.
Okay.
And Council
Thank you.
President,
Yes, Councilwoman Easton.
I also am withdrawing 68.
68?
Council members, are there any other ordinances or resolutions that we need to discuss at this time?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Conference adjourned at 7:12. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township and Council Chamber, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, March 5th, 2019, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Here.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
Council President Coley?
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the city clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the business administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the city attorney, Kenneth Douglas, the fire director, Adria Mapp, the finance director, Marty Mays, planning and public works director, Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer, and Lisette Sanchez, record support technician, clerk's office. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et sec, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, published in the record transcript on July 12, 2018, posted on bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the office of the city clerk. But B.A. Hartwick, just to recap, I'll just tell you what we went over in the conference. We said 68 was pulled, 69, 76, 83, 84, and 85. 81 was amended, and the bill list was amended. Approval of meeting minutes, there were none. Reports. Did I read that sunshine statement?
No, I didn't hear it.
I did.
You did? You read it on the first, at the conference meeting. I don't think you read it this one.
Okay, I have to go back just to make sure, because I wasn't quite sure. Did I read the sunshine statement?
I don't think you did.
Okay. The requirements of NJSA 10:
You read it.
I read it, thank you. Approval of meeting minutes, none. Reports. Department monthly revenue collection 2019. Department of Community Service for the month of January collected a total of $17,881. There were no constable reports. There are no OPA reports, council reports.
We start with finance.
Thank you, Council President. Last night at the Finance Committee, in attendance with myself, Councilman Jackson, Councilman Johnson Jr.
Point of order. Do we have a copy of that?
That's what I was just asking.
No.
Did they didn't put it on everybody's desk?
I guess we can continue, just let her read it, and then
And
we can, and we get the copy
Somebody in
later
the
on.
office?
Yeah.
Can you ask them?
Let's just continue so we can move the meeting, and then we can get the copy.
Why can't we do that at the end? Let's do the rest, because I want to read along with the, you don't
Okay, so you
mind.
will,
She can do it at the end.
we'll come back to her.
Right.
Okay. Anything from planning?
Only update from planning I have is, as you have noticed, there's a fence around McDonald's. It is now closed, probably for about 6 months or more. And they are going to tear it down and rebuild. So we will have a brand-new McDonald's with some extra amenities. One of the things that they're adding is a walk-up 24-hour window, which I don't agree with, but it got approved, so. And I think there's fencing in the front with some shrubbery to contain it. So it's supposed to be a more up-to-date, beautiful site. And you should have a kiosk where you can order online versus inside the store versus standing in line to order.
Okay.
So,
Is that print shop being taken out too? The
Huh?
print shop?
yes,
That's all?
they're gonna
so-
expand it.
Okay,
They
so the
got
whole
print
building,
shop,
okay.
and hopefully they're putting a walkway between from 132 William, that they can walk through the yard and come through versus going all the way out the Park Street and coming to McDonald's. So they should supposedly are going to put a secure walkway for the seniors.
Is it gonna be well lit, do you know, with cameras?
Yes,
Okay,
that was one of the things that we did on last Wednesday,
okay,
ask for more lighting.
thank you. Anything from ABC? ABC?
ABC was postponed due to the weather, and they didn't have a quorum, so we will do that in March.
Okay. Anything from the library?
Council President, just real brief. I did attend the last library meeting. Nothing formal as far as reporting, but the library has a new board. They have leadership with the mayor. The mayor's participating in the board meetings. They have a new library board director, and they just need right now the support and the hope and prayers from all the residents that this new leadership team that's coming on the library can turn things around. And I'll be attending their next meeting and meetings in the future to keep the council colleagues aware or abreast of what's going on.
Amen to that.
Thank you.
Director Douglas, anything from the fire department?
Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director. Good evening, Council President, Mr.
Good evening, sir.
Mr.
How are you
Hardwick.
tonight?
The winter is always a busy time for the fire department. For the last 2 weeks, we did have a couple fires. I'll talk to you briefly about them. On the 23rd of February, we had a fire at 351 Alden Street. One thing about this fire, it was an abandoned structure, heavy fire on the 3rd floor. Did a search, there was no occupants in the building. It's still undetermined at this time. And our arson investigators are still looking into it and how this fire occurred. The second fire is at 235 Cleveland Street on the 27th of February. Now, that was an occupied structure, but actually was a small fire. It was a small fire in a bookcase. That fire was determined to be accidental. The person's in the apartment actually discarded a cigarette in the wastebasket. Didn't put it out, caused a fire next to the shelf. Caused a small fire. They weren't displaced. They were able to go back into the apartment, which is a good thing. No other fires were reported at this time. And just very quickly, thanks to Mr. Hardwick and Mayor Warren, the fire department actually have a class in the fire academy right now with 19 candidates. They're due to graduate the academy May 10th. So thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank
Council
you.
President, could I ask the question?
Councilwoman Eason.
I went by 351, and I saw the top had burned. I couldn't
Yep.
figure out when that happened. But isn't that structure ready to be torn down?
I'm not sure. I didn't see it myself.
Marty, Mr. Mays?
The building official has the structure on a schedule to go inspect this week based upon recent activity, and he'll render an opinion. If we need to bring in a structural engineer, we'll get one. But we'll have an answer within the next 2 weeks.
Did you guys determine who owns it?
We know which bank is holding the paper.
Yeah, because I'm assuming, based on the way it looks like it's ready to fall down.
It's also an attractive nuisance.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned because the house next door, they had done a lot of work, and I don't want to jeopardize the work that they've done because we let a house sit there that should have been torn down. But 235, I went by there that
235
night.
Cleveland.
I couldn't see nothing, so I went by the next day.
It was inside. They actually put it out with a water can fire extinguisher, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, because that night we were trying to figure out what was going on, so I went through there, but I still didn't see anything that was any indication that there was a fire
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It came in as a fire, but when they went in there, it was just a small fire.
Right. So, Business Administrator Hardwick, so sometime next week, we will know
I think he's actually going out this week. I'll know by the end of the week if I need to bring in a structural engineer.
okay,
Otherwise, we'll have an answer by Friday.
okay.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
I don't see any, I know, hold on. I don't see any police, department represented tonight. Police. Public Works, Ms. Gordon?
Good evening, Kathleen Gordon, for the
Evening.
Public Works Department, for the Public Works Committee. There are going to be a number of repetitions of previous items because we have not been able to go much forward with our agenda. As far as the item, we asked for Mr. Mays regarding the emergency snow parking locations, how many parking spaces each contain, and their distance from the streets where they would replace parking in an emergency situation. We have not gotten it this time either. The administration was at this time represented by Mr. Ray Wingfield from the Public Works Department, and he offered that he would inquire himself about those numbers. So without those numbers, we couldn't go forward establishing whether in an emergency situation we would recommend or not recommend a one-sided parking on the streets before snowstorms. We have not received, but still waiting for the amended vacant and abandoned properties ordinance. I'm coming up every time with it, and it is not getting produced or forward. We discussed again and affirmed that the city requires all residential and business owners to make garbage disposal clean and animal-proof by requiring garbage put out in containers only covered by lids. We have been told that this ordinance is on its way. We had a discussion that we hadn't in the past, and Mr. Wingfield was the right person in that respect. This is, the committee has been interested in the city providing some kind of a measure for the residents, how it would handle emergency losing power, losing water, and such things. We have been told that these are kind of state secret methods, not to be disclosed, and that is not what we are interested in. We are simply asking on behalf of our residents and ourselves some accounting how prepared our city is to handle long-term emergencies in terms of electricity access, drinking water access, access to food bank. Is it hours, days, weeks, or even a few months if necessity dictates? So we are still interested in that. Mr. Wingfield, who is the city's representative for emergency management, said that he is going to ask somebody higher up to give possibly here, right here, under the city council's matters of discussion, some kind of a report for us to get some kind of an insight. We have also discussed that we would be interested in being involved in the Main Street Importment project, just the initial planning part. We have some ideas. And that was maybe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Anything from housing?
Yes. And I'll type it up and turn it in to you tomorrow.
Second?
I said I will type it up and send it to the clerk's office. Went to their meeting last week, the Housing Redevelopment Corporation meeting. They are still working on the Walter G. 4. The audit for 2018 has been delivered to the administration. They're working on, excuse me,
Got the order?
working on a small house project for Central Place. Details to follow. Black History Month program was a big success. Their guest speaker was Lawrence Ham or Larry Ham. The Women's History Month program is in progress. Their annual report will be submitted to the council in April. That's it for housing.
And
Thank you.
Council President, I also attended the regular meeting, the meeting of commissioners. And at that meeting, as we talked about, 2 employees are retiring. We have to do a resolution, as you have asked. Both Joannes are retiring effective August 1st. And many of you have had the chance to work with them, probably send them well wishes. And I just need to get clarification. It's the 2017 audit that was delivered, not the 2018, because the 2018 is still at HUD. They just started, yeah.
Because that's what he sent to us, I think.
So the 2018 is still at HUD and it's going through the process. And I think that was, and also Director Harwood, this might be interesting to you, they just retained a company for a computer. And I reminded them that, you know, how the state is moving shared services, and when these opportunities to come along, that it would be helpful if they discussed it with, you know, the other entities in the city, see if there's an opportunity for shared service, and they said they would look into that.
Okay. Thank you much. We can loop back to finance.
Thank you, Council President. In attendance was myself, Councilman Jackson, Councilman Johnson Jr., Mr. Hartwick, Mr. Montellis, Mr. Mobley, Quinn Fields from the clerk's office, Ronald Lee, Superintendent of Schools, board members Lydell Carter, Brenda Daughtry, Mr. Sharif, Tyrone Tarver, and Derek Henry, and from developers 205 Mount Vernon Project, David Clark and his attorney Reginald Jenkins, Emmanuel Klein, and Art Front. Emmanuel Klein is, I think that's wrong, he's the developer?
Yeah.
He is a developer, okay. Principal, okay. When the Housing Authority was here, because they had some concerns about funding, so they had an opportunity to talk with Mr. Hartwick and
You mean the Board of
the board, I'm sorry, thank you. It's on my brain. Sorry, the Board of, I'm sorry, the Orange Board of Education was present. They had some questions with funding and issues us using the school facilities, are we paying our part and things of that sort. They had an opportunity to talk to the business administrator and straighten some things out and get a better understanding. Superintendent Lee recommended that a subcommittee be established to be a part of a meeting with certain developments. Speaking of pilots, they wanted to know more pilots and how it impacts the school and how the school can be more of a part of it. Mr. Hartwick explained to them that it would not be proper. However, that, you know, they will be at any other meeting that the public will be able to know about what's going on with pilots. And that's where the recommendation for the subcommittee came out of. There was a presentation about the new project at 205 Mount Vernon, 19 units with 29 parking spaces. This will be the first development with a, what kind of parking are we calling that?
Automated and motorized.
Automated and motorized parking. And so they will be able to come before the council the first meeting of April to put everything in front of us so that we can ask questions as a whole. Everybody should have received a notice in your box that there's a new business on Main Street, and it's called the Pour, P-O-U Artist. Mr. Harwick, were we able to find anything out about that?
We actually went there, but we're not able to find anything out. The building address is actually a building that houses not-for-profits.
Okay.
But we couldn't find the actual entity, and we didn't have any permitting or any applications in planning or building.
Okay, so we'll follow up next
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll follow up and find out where this person is.
Okay. As stated, the corrective action plan will be discussed at the second meeting in March. Going on to ordinances, the Main Street redevelopment. Mr. Hartwick, do you have any update regarding that?
The issues that we were looking at, I was delivered a package which I reviewed and turned over to council for review. So the mayor asked me if we could move forward. That would be great.
So go forward. Recommending moving forward tonight? Okay, on ordinance 4-2019, we recommend, the Finance Committee recommends that we move forward. 8-2019, I believe, Councilwoman Easter, you said that's going to be pulled?
68.
8-2019, we're going to move forward with that. Okay, we're going to move forward with 8-2019. 9, 10, and 11 are going to be postponed until the next meeting. Resolutions 67, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. Finance Committee is recommending to move forward. 76, recommend withdrawn. 77, 78, 79, and 80. And 81, recommending that we move forward. 83 and 84 to be withdrawn, recommending withdrawn. 85, 2019, we're also recommending withdrawal, and there was no discussion on the bill list. Thank you, Council President.
I'm sorry, Council President.
Council President,
Hold on, Mr. BA?
The only issue on 8-2019, we think that it can be introduced pending on a legal opinion from the city attorney's office.
Okay.
Regarding certain issues that I identified to the committee last night, and I can
Exactly.
identify to the council in a memo. But
Okay.
there are some issues that need, before you go forward, there are some issues that you need to be comfortable with from a legal perspective.
Okay.
Councilwoman Easter.
I have 3 questions, and I guess I need some clarification. How many members are there on the Board of Education?
9.
So five is a quorum, right? How do you guys meet with a quorum of the board members? That's illegal, and you know it's illegal. You can't meet separately with 5 members of the board without holding an official meeting. And I'm going to ask Mr. Martellus to investigate that and come back with an answer the next meeting. Because you can't, if it's unfair and illegal for us to do that, it's also unfair and illegal for the Board of Education to do that. You can't have a separate meeting with 5 members and leave the other ones out because these 5 all of a sudden want to make all the decisions. And we're not furthering anybody's career to be mayor or whatever. I need an answer on that. And I'm not asking you to respond until I finish, so don't cut me off.
Councilwoman Easton,
Don't cut me off. I'm
but
finished. I'm
don't
not
point your
finished.
finger at me.
The second one I have, Mount Vernon was approved by the planning board. Why was there a separate meeting on that without having the chair of the planning board there?
The financial agreement was before the finance committee, as it always is.
And that's fine, but was a planning board member invited to that meeting?
I have no idea.
A planning board member has to be there to represent.
There was a
what we
planning
would-
board member there, but I don't know if he was invited.
Zoning.
Who was there?
Planning board.
Okay.
The planning board chair was there.
Oh, Dwight Holmes was there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, because when you say something about looking at the parking and what is, there were some questions, and that they have to come before the council to present, that has not been done before, because the planning board approved the project, it comes before the council after it's approved. So if you're gonna start now tearing it apart, you should have done that when we were doing the initial design and getting all the approvals done. So I don't understand how that happened either. But I have long said, I have some concerns about this finance committee, and I think you guys are taking this and have gone too far. So I'm going to do my own investigation to find out what's legal and what's not legal, because you have stepped over the line. You cannot meet with 5 members of the Board of Cases at one time with not having an official meeting. Mr. Hartman, you know that.
Mr. Hardwick, Council President,
Councilwoman Williams.
and to correct, Councilwoman Eason, I'm not here to argue with you. I am going to speak when I feel that it is valid. I don't know if you heard what I said. I don't think we picked anything apart regarding the Mount Vernon project. As a matter of fact, the principal presented, and I don't think there was any questions other than how many units and parking. And again, what was stated, that there were 19 units, 29 parking spaces, of which this will be, what's the parking deck called? I'm sorry, I keep,
It's an automated.
automated parking, and it will be the first in the city, and it's probably one of the first in this type of project. And then the finance committee recommended going forward. Why they have to come before the city council is because of the financial agreement. So that was all that was said. It was not picked apart, and I don't even think there was much questioning asked by the finance committee. Regarding the board, I guess we just have to wait for clarification, because it wasn't a board meeting, it was a committee meeting in which they came and they just got clarity, and the whole board was, invited to come and speak to Mr. Hartwick. And that's why those who came, and those who didn't. So it wasn't specific ones that came. But Mr. Montellis, because it wasn't that much discussion other than clarification from the superintendent and Mr. Hartwick. But it was a finance
Regardless
committee
of the
meeting.
explanation, you were out of line and out of order.
And again,
You
Councilwoman
can
Eason.
explain all you want, you were out of
All
order
right.
and out of line.
Okay,
I'm finished, Council President.
thank you for your finance report. Thank you for your comments, Councilwoman Eason. And I think that is it for our reports. Madam Clerk?
There were no communications and petitions received. Citizen comments. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in audible tone for the record, and unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 5 minutes. The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
No comments? Wishful thinking.
Mr. Fell?
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman, attorney, and a mortgagee whose local business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, I've delivered various memos with exhibits to the council, the legislative research officer, the city attorney, and the BA, and the city clerks. Historical moment. Today represents the 249th anniversary of the Boston Massacre in Boston. We know it is because it's probably led to the American Revolution. One of the persons that was killed was a person of color, Crispus Attucks. Most important thing, as for attorneys, John Adams. John Adams, our second president, talks about the most important thing he did in his life was representing the British who shot the Americans. And the reason I say that is because we're hearing a lot about the rule of law. As you all fumble on your papers and don't pay attention to me, it's very important that you understand the heads-up memos. Because today, a published opinion came out, written by Judge Massano. The case is Monseni versus Local Finance Board. It talks about local ethics of municipalities, of the people. You need to read it. Based on that opinion, one council person probably should not be serving as a liaison to the Orange Housing Development Corporation based on that opinion. You need to read it. In addition, Oprah is very important. One of the things I showed you, we had a response from the clerk about whether she complied by giving the proper recording the pilot, the Crane Street pilot. Originally, she said she sent it to the state. 3 years ago, they changed the law. Today, she complied with the law and delivered the copies to the county CFO and the county attorney. In addition, yesterday I got a response from the DLGS, because prior to 2016, they were supposed to get all pilots. When I asked for copies of them, they said, well, we don't keep a log, and we just throw them in a drawer. This is scary. Based on my questions today, will someone at least tell us what the unexpired term of the tax assessor is? In addition, you have a retention resolution for Attorney Russo and his DeLam Kretzer firm. At 4:15 today, an answer was filed in Feld 20. That's the Oprah case. Based on the answer I received, I assume the clerk has reviewed that answer. I assume the city attorney has reviewed that answer before it's filed. If you haven't, you need to talk to attorneys because of some of the answers that were filed. The city denies that the videos were removed from the city's website when our new mayor came. It denies that I received a letter from the former city attorney trying to impose prior restraints at the request of the then city council president. There's questions as to tonight, the first thing we heard, that the bill list is being amended to increase by $300,000. How did that happen? How did you forget the water, sewer, utility? There gets to be a point where you say enough is enough. How many more errors do we have to have from the finance department? Because one of the things that was produced to me today was supposedly the long-term tax exemption policy procedure ordinance. The only thing that says in there is that the finance director is responsible since 2017 to reviewing all our pilots. Therefore, he is responsible to make sure that we're getting all current payments and that payments that are due to the county are remitted. Where also he's responsible to know whether certain pilots have been granted under the wrong enabling statute, and that's one of the letters I sent to you about the New Jersey Housing Finance Mortgage long-term exemption. And he needs to know when pilots either are matured by their term or they have lapsed because underlying mortgages have been refinanced. But as to the Housing Authority audit, I received that late this afternoon pursuant to Oprah. That needs to be posted because there are certain footnotes in there that people need to read. One being that they admit they have not made their payments to us under what they deem to be their payment in lieu agreement, which is a cooperation agreement, and there's certain language in there about how much money I've cost them. The appellate division found that there was a per se conflict of interest. There's also been questioned because the FBI came to visit me in 2011 asking how Walter G. Alexander phases 1 and 2 were granted building permits, a long-term tax exemption, and planning board approvals when they owed you $800,000 in water and sewer.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gordon?
Kathleen Gordon at 211 Park Place. I have just two short issues to let you know about. A month ago, I talked about the parking ticket I received, and I felt that I received it incorrectly. Nobody asked me where that location was and what the problem might be, but since I have been at the municipal court, the municipal judge agreed with me that they were that it was illegally given. So I am giving this city again under notice that there is a couple of parking spaces in the city. I will be happy to disclose if there is interest, where they are and what the problem might be. And the city should do something about it because now it is a parking ticket trap. And the second issue might be more important even. I have, regarding the new email addresses that the city employees are having. There was a notice here maybe a month ago when this changeover happened that city employees are still being forwarded with some mechanism the emails to their old email addresses, because as I looked up just yesterday, at the city website where the email addresses are listed has not changed and disclosed the new email addresses. So I sent 2 emails to the clerk's office and I have not received any response. So I am assuming in good faith that they were just being lost, but I am pointing out that something with the communication is not working, and assumingly because there is some kind of a problem delivering to the old address. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gorton. Mark Leviston.
Good evening, members of the City of Orange Township Council. My name's Mark Levinson, and I am here on behalf of the Orange Public Schools Performing Arts Department at 451 Lincoln Avenue. I live in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. Joining me today are the director, Mr. Michael Seidel, and 3 of our students. I come here tonight to inform the council of the Orange Public Schools production of the Broadway classic Guys and Dolls, and to ask for your help in promoting the efforts currently being undertaken by the talented and aspiring students at Orange. The musical production began in December of 2018, but the planning and vision of director Michael Seidel go back much further. Since then, students have been busy designing, constructing, and painting the sets, learning spoken dialogue, practicing their songs, memorizing thousands of set directions, and working like a professional Broadway company. They're working nearly every day after school while the set crew is working Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays to stay in step with the relentless approach of opening night. Thousands of hours go into this production. By the time of our opening night on April 4th, 2019, Guys and Dolls will have become a permanent resident on the intersection of students' hearts and minds. And when those curtains open, what will our brave, ambitious, and talented students see? Will they see an audience worthy of the passion they've harnessed to get to this point? Or, like so many other performances on the Orange Preparatory Academy auditorium stage, will they see only a few dozen familiar faces of family and friends amongst a sea of empty seats? I beseech this council on behalf of these talented students to help us in promoting our 2019 musical Guys and Dolls. And you may be thinking, this is all great, but what can we do? First, spread the word. Tell your coworkers, tell your family members, put the news on your social media feeds. Second, in 2 weeks, with all luck, 2 raffle licenses will come before this board. One, a 50-50 raffle application for the Saturday show, and the other one, a license application for the raffling of several baskets of goods from local merchants donated by or sponsored by the PTAs of our 10 schools. And third, come to the show. Bring your families. I guarantee that when you leave the theater, you'll be glad you did, and we'll be knocking on our doors to find out what we're going to do next. Guys and Dolls runs from Thursday, April 4th at 7 p.m. This show is free to anyone with an Orange Public School ID. Friday, April 5th is at 7 p.m., and that one's buy one, get one free. Saturday, April 6th has a 2 p.m. matinee, and hopefully will also include a 50-50 raffle. And our final show is Saturday, April 6th at 7 p.m., and we'll celebrate our many seniors who will be leaving us in June, having graced our stage with their talent. I'd just like to point out our people who've come here, Mr. Michael Seidel, our director, Andrew Coates, senior, Jasmine Asensio, and Guadalupe, who's behind there. They are 3 of our cast members who are wonderfully talented and represent 3 of only, there's about 60 students who are working on this. So please help us out in promoting this and definitely come to the show. And I have tickets for everyone here.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Mr. Levinson.
Mr. Levinson?
Sir, yes, sir.
You have any students from the West Ward here?
From where?
From the West Ward?
From the West Ward. Which elementary schools would that be?
High school. Do you have any students here from the high school?
From the high school, yeah.
Who's in the West Ward?
They would have went to Lincoln.
Andrew?
Andrew, the star of the show.
Andrew Coates. He is the star of our show.
Andrew Coates. It's a dynamite. All of y'all got to go see Andrew. He's in my ward.
This is your last chance to see Andrew.
All of us.
Andrew the senior.
Fantastic. See, I'm already starting promoting.
Very good.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
work it out.
Was Andrew in the last play?
Andrew's in every play.
Yeah, I just,
He was also in the Orange High School, when they did the alumni, when they brought the alumni, he was singing in the amphitheater. I remember him.
okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, I remember.
I'm excited.
All right.
Stand up. Councilman Johnson needs 25 tickets, Andrew.
Yeah.
All righty. Mr. Levinson, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Levinson, excuse me, Council President.
Yes.
Didn't I give you my business card at the last show?
Yes, sir.
Harold Johnson? Reach out to me so I can get some stuff fired up in the West Ward, okay? Thanks.
Ms. Stewart?
Gloria Stewart, resident of Orange. Good evening.
Good evening.
To piggyback on what just took place, I think it's commendable. And we had a board meeting on Monday, I believe, and it was well presented. The program, everything was really nice. The only thing was, I wish we could have had more people, as he said, in the audience. And I hope that this is not taken in a bad way. I got the feeling that you are responding in a positive way by his presentation. Please support. I'm a public school advocate, work in the school district, so every opportunity I get to speak for it, I will.
Yep.
To move on, I'm going to, my usual in terms of the mayor not being present, and I think that, if we voted as resident, it wouldn't hurt for him to be here to show his face at one of your council meetings, even though I know he doesn't have to, which, he's proven that. Then I'm going to go and thanks, and it's good to see the BA back, because I think when I came last, you were still mending. But I just want to know, I piggyback on my question as it relates to Mr. Mapp being the financial director. I still have concerns about that. And now that Ms. Scarlett is no longer in the position, are you going to replace that person? I don't know how you do with, your employee situation, but I'm putting that out. Are you going to replace a position, or will he take that position? I'd like some answers as a resident of Orange. Moving on to the condition of our water, I know Suez takes care of that. Some reports I've sent in for testing, they're saying that, our water is in bad condition, it's hard and all of that, and I'm going to ask if it's possible to give us an update if you have not already, because I've missed some meetings, so it's possible I may have missed it, but it wouldn't hurt to give the resident a report on the condition of our water. And then I want to go back to a comment that the chair made about responding to our concerns at the time we bring them before. You said that you were not going to do it, but I'm hoping and thinking, praying that you will reconsider when we ask something or bring up a concern, that you will be kind enough to take the time to answer what our concern, if you can, at that time. I want to, I had, I think maybe a year or so ago, I asked when we had snow on the sidewalk. I know you shoveled the snow, but they don't do the pathways from the sidewalk to the street. So in other words, to get where you're going, you have to go all the way to the end of a street, and I walk over the snow, which I witnessed just today. There was no path coming from the post office. I have a box there, so I frequent the post office, but you gotta climb over ice instead of digging pathways. We as homeowners are required to dig the pathway along with cleaning the sidewalk. So I'm asking that you would consider that if it's not robbery from this council. I want to also give a positive note with the library new board. One of the people is a liaison from the Orange School District. She's very good as a librarian, as our language art person, and I hope that working together that we can make something more of our library just sitting there, and I hope it moves forward in a positive direction. I want to something that troubles me, and I don't know if a report is needed, but when in the police, I love them, just coming here tonight, one stopped and escorted me across the street. But I want to know your procedure for searching an individual. Do you walk up to me if I'm walking and tell me I look like somebody that you got a report on and run your hand in my pocket? So I'm asking, is that legal? Because, you can cause, for me, you might stir up some feeling within me that will cause things to go awry. So there should be some procedure. Do you just go in, take what's out of his pocket, not give it back? So I'm just saying, whether you think it's worthy of looking into it or not, I'm bringing it before you, and I'm going to leave this with you. Remember karma, what happens if you mistreat or do not treat a person the way they should be, that's karma. Don't have to do a thing. My God will take care of that. Your God. So I just want to say, I know that's my say, but I'm leaving this. And I always say I can come back. It's a little harder now because I kind of babysit, but I will make an effort to be back. And I need answers for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. That is set.
Motion to close citizens' comments.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Council comments?
Council comments, who want to go first? We'll talk
You can come
council.
back to me.
Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you, Council President. Real brief, I just wanted to, the Orange School District is doing a project where the city as a collective reads 2 million pages, and they gave a tremendous program this weekend over at Walter G, where they had books to give away to the students and to the community. They had vendors, and I just want to encourage everybody to be a part of this effort to read 2 million pages. They will be doing more events, and if you're interested in doing events like Councilwoman Summer Johnson, were you familiar with this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so even if they would be welcome to come over to your meetings or something like that, they just want to engage as much as the community as possible. It was very inspiring. The kids were, just to see their eyes really bright and grabbing books, and the awards were giving out. So these are the type of programs that we want to continue to support and to advertise in our community. No, I had one more announcement, but if I have to, I'll come back. That's it, Council President. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Ready.
So, Ms. Johnson?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to start off my council comments by addressing an issue. At the last council meeting, I asked a law question to our city attorney. To my surprise, when I opened our local paper on February 28th, Mr. Jeff Feld wrote a letter to the editor, and I quote, "South Ward Councilwoman Jamie Summers Johnson attacked an unnamed council person for posting and implying they spoke on behalf of the entire local legislative body," which was not true. Thank God I tape every council meeting. I just want to play the part where I asked you the question and you answered, because in 2019, your character, and to say that I attacked anyone, I can't let that slide. So I just want to play that part. I have it queued. Exactly. This is a law question, just so I can get a better understanding. When you have a group that is a committee, a board for the city of Orange, and they have a Facebook page, I'm trying to understand, are they supposed to be impartial, is my question. Can they post under their own name, or if they're posting under a committee that is a board from the city, can they speak their own mind, kind of not be impartial? Is there a code of conduct? I'm trying to find out.
If they're actually representing themselves as a committee or an official committee for the city of Orange, then they cannot offer their own opinions or comments that are personal, not reflective of the opinion of the board or the committee.
Okay, so I had to play that because when I read that I attacked an unnamed council person, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a school teacher. I'm also a councilwoman. I will not let anyone attack my character. My children attend Orange Public Schools, and some people do read the local paper. And the last thing I need is one of my children approached about their mother attacking someone. That's a very harsh word, and it didn't even happen. So I say shame on you for that. Now that that foolishness is over, on a much more positive note, we had a very successful South Ward community meeting last Thursday, February 28th. Citizens came out. They asked questions, they received answers. I would like to thank B.A. Chris, Councilwoman Adrian Wooten, Officer Cherry, Code Enforcement Officer and District Leader Elroy Corbett, and District Leader Stacy Martin for coming out. Residents brought pictures of issues that they had, and we were able to really help them. Our next South Ward community meeting will be on March 28th, and it's held at Our Lady of the Valley Church, but it's on the 650 Nassau Street entrance. The meeting is from 6:30, and we end promptly at 7:30. All are welcome, whether you live in the city of Orange or not. If you're interested in what's going on in the city, please attend. And I want to say Happy Women's History Month. And I want to end with a quote from our former First Lady, Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wooten?
Council President. First, I want to say happy Women's History Month. I also like to say that there are really some good things that are going on in our city. They're just not mentioned sometimes at our city council meeting. And there are some really good employees at the city of Orange Township. So this week, I would like to thank Rudy, who works in the health department. He is an animal control officer, for all the many animals that he captures and that he takes to the Associated Humane Society. He does a wonderful job. I'm always getting pictures of the skunks I think he removed an alligator one time. There was a lamb in front of City Hall last week. A lamb. I think he does a wonderful job. I think he's kind of like an unsung hero. So from me to Rudy, I just want to say thank you so much for all the things that you do. In addition to that, whenever there's a raid on a house or dogs or animals are in a house, Rudy goes in. He said before the police officers to keep the dogs or the animals from being harmed. So he does a lot for our community, and I just want to say thank you to Rudy, as well as, the other people who work for the City of Orange Township. We had a great Zumba the past couple of weeks. We have a really good instructor. Her name is Adrienne Phillips. She works at the courts, but she's a really good Zumba instructor. She works us really hard, so if you want to dance or party or work the pounds off, come out and meet us with that. In addition to that, Black History Month was in February, and all of us know that Black History Month is more than 28 days. It's all the time. So I just wanted to say, for me, the month and being a Black American is important to me, and I don't have to listen to comments or quotes from people to know the history of our people, because I lived it. I lived in the South. I went into a store when I was 4 or 5 years old with my mother in Zebulon, North Carolina, and we would call it N-word, so I was afraid of that. I lived where the Klan came to our town in Greensboro, North Carolina, and shot up a community where people died, so I lived through that. I was not there for the riots in North Carolina A&T, but I experienced that. And then there was the lunch counter at Woolworth, so I saw that. So whenever you come to me or come with quotes, you have to actually know, and you should be living that. You don't make the quote and say how important it is and then lash us. You don't do that. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, as Councilwoman Williams just said, it's very condescending. So I want to say Black History Month is more than 28 days. And for those of us who lived it, God bless you. God bless you. And thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Eason.
Yes. I want to say to Councilwoman Wooten, one of these nights we have to recognize Woody as the unsung hero. Yeah. So we will do a bio and a plaque, because he does do a lot, and I appreciate him, and he's very friendly. So anytime you call him, he's coming. Also, I have a couple of things that I want to address. And I want to talk about McDonald's real quick. And one of the things McDonald's is doing as they move forward is they're giving back to the communities. On Sunday, the owner of the McDonald's, part of the African American McDonald's Association, they donated $1,000 to our educational scholarship program. So they came to the church, so they're giving back to random churches in the community, just to show that they appreciate our business and how they want to be a part of the community. And I'm going to ask Officer Banks if she would have our police director contact Mrs. Stewart and respond directly to her questions. And once he calls her, she will tell him what her question is, so he can specifically tell her what the policy is for police officers searching residents. I think that's critical. Or he should document it, maybe give her a letter, just so that everybody understands what that is, and that the community doesn't think our officers are doing anything at random and being rogue police officers, because we need to hold them up. So I'm going to ask you to ask him to respond to her, give her a call, and go through the process with her. I'm happy to see that on the agenda tonight we have the security resolution for our senior buildings, and I'm in the process of drafting a letter to the governor, because I think we really need a senior advocate, because a lot of our seniors are suffering in silence in the buildings. They're being preyed upon, their apartments are being broken into, and they just need somebody to represent them and make sure that they're getting the service, because they are the foundation that built New Jersey. And as we grow older, we still want to be respected, we want to be safe, we want to be have peace, and we want to be protected just like everybody else is. So moving forward, now I will become the senior advocate and make sure some of those things happen so that when we put our family members in senior buildings, we can be comfortable at home sleeping, know that they're getting good care and they're being protected. The other thing I'm gonna ask the residents is, and while I'm doing that, could you have Marty come up while I go through?
Mr. Mays?
Mr. Hartwig, when are we gonna do the water presentation? Remember we talked about that weeks ago?
Yeah, I've sort of been working on the budget, so I think that we should be in a position to give the presentation in April. The representative who was assigned to the city's contract from Suez left, so we're breaking in a new rep as of the last 10 days. That person needs to get up to speed before we do the presentation, so I think we should be ready in April.
Because something happened in East Orange this week. There was a bogus memo that went around. I just want to make sure that we are ahead of that instead of behind it, and ensure the residents that our water is safe. So we need to have somebody come in and make sure they explain it.
Yep.
And also, while the residents, I'm asking that you start to use your eyes and your ears. Everybody has a cell phone and they take pictures of everything. On Cleveland Street on, I want to say Monday, we had 2 cars stripped of their tires. And it's interesting, nobody took a picture, nobody saw who did it. 2 cars sitting on cinder blocks, 2 Hondas. So I'm asking residents, please do your due diligence, and at night sometime, just go to the front, look out your window. If you're up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, just take a peek to see who's out there and give the police a call if you see any activity that should not be happening. We have got to help them, and we have got to pay attention and make sure that our cars, our residents that are walking are safe. So we're going to become the eyes and ears of the police department and look out and call them when they say, when you see something, say something. Because I couldn't believe that those cars was in that condition and nobody, I question, nobody heard or saw a thing. But everything else, you got a cell phone picture on the social media, on the TV, but you don't see stuff like that or they don't tape it. So I'm just asking our residents to do their due diligence and make sure that we are paying attention. Marty, on Essex Avenue, as you leave Main Street going into Freeway Drive, could we put a reflector there to let them know there's a pillar, let us know that there's a pillar in the middle? Because you don't see it until you get right up on it. Because the one that's at the top, you can't see at night. You know what I'm talking about?
Where is it?
Right between the 2 new buildings. You going under the bridge, under
Right.
280. We need to put a reflector on that pillar in the middle before somebody runs into it and hurt themselves.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Can we order some and put one there?
We'll address it. I got to figure out, is that state property?
Transit.
Yeah. I'll just put it on my list for my next transit meeting and see if I can get them to do
So
it.
we got to get the state to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, if we put it up, they'll just send somebody around to take it down.
Really? Even though it's a safety issue?
I agree, it is. But we have to raise it in that context. I can't just send our guys out to do it because I'll end up in court.
Okay. Could we do that immediately? I just don't want us to have somebody come through there late at night.
We should hit all of them, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is probably do them all. Okay.
Yeah, and I agree, all of them should be done, just so people can see what they're coming into, in case we're not paying attention sometimes.
Okay.
And also, garbage cans,
We're working on the garbage ordinance. We should have something either on the 19th or the first meeting in April.
which will include the new
It'll
cans.
include the new cans. The requirement will be phased in. People will have time, but it'll
Does it-
include the new cans.
And because I think Councilwoman Wooten had a question about having visible garbage cans at certain restaurants and things of that, which is one of the things I'm gonna make sure McDonald's does when it opens, and it opens this 24-hour walk-up, that they have garbage cans situated up and down Main Street so people don't just throw the garbage on the ground. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Eason. Councilman Johnson.
Council President, good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
All right.
All
To
right.
you and the business administrator representing the city and my colleagues, I'd like to thank you guys for allowing me to postpone the ordinances referring to Reynolds Terrace another couple of weeks so we can have our meeting. So it's, the ordinance is on a first read tonight, and I want to report to everybody that we do have a community meeting set up for this Thursday to discuss this with the residents. I've been wholeheartedly this weekend trying to get as much advertisement out as possible so we can comfortably move forward on the first read on these residents. I have a couple of flyers left over if anybody want to put it on their social media for me and kind of share, because this potlucking people living on Reynolds Terrace through social media is just it's a needle in a haystack. So as much information that we can get out there. It's an important notice, a community meeting, and the topic's going to be Reynolds Terrace becoming a one-way street, and this legislation is being introduced tonight. The place where we're holding it at the Church in the Oranges, 270 Reynolds Terrace. The date's going to be Thursday, March the 7th, 2019. Time's going to be 6:30 to 7:45. I believe our BA's got us on the docket to be there, and it's hosted by Dr. Earl T. Stoddard, Senior Pastor in Westwood Council, and yours truly. So please spread the word. Wednesday night, Council President, I will be making whose note? Sorry about that. I can't multitask. Okay.
I'll teach you how later.
Well, anywho, I'll be doing a lit drop tomorrow, just to kind of catch up a couple of loose ends. That's it for me this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. And I just have a few things. I too had the same question that Councilwoman Easton had, an update on the water. And that's going to include the status of the wells and everything else, okay?
Yep.
And Ms. Gordon raised an issue, the emails, city emails. Do we know if everyone is using our new email addresses?
So, the new email addresses are in place. However, the way we set up the email migration is the old email addresses are also still active. They'll be active until the end of the year. And when you send something to the old email address, you may get a response which says the email address can't be delivered, but they're nonetheless received. It's just notifying people that the email addresses have changed. So in terms of the update on the website, I've already written an email based upon what was said, and I'll follow up based upon that email.
Okay. I guess Mr. B.A. and Mr. Mays, the habitual offenders regarding the opening of the snow paths, the post office and all the other businesses. I mean, why are we just continuing just to ignore their failure to comply with the ordinance? Why don't we just, like any other place, we just hit them with the fine? I don't know how many more times we will just continue just to overlook their negligence on applying, to the opening of the snow path. It makes, to me, it's just a no-brainer. This is what the third or fourth, I think, snow season that we are dealing with this issue, and to this date, I don't think that no violations have been issued. To me, that just makes absolutely no sense and is unacceptable. If you guys can look into that, I will truly appreciate it.
I'll just tell you right now. You can We can issue the violations, just like we can issue them to New Jersey Transit and DOT, and then they show up in court and they get dismissed, because we don't have any authority to issue a violation against the federal government. So the better process is for us to set up a meeting with the postmaster and find out what the issue is with their snow removal contract, and make sure that whatever they're contracting for through GSA is compliant with our ordinance.
Okay, well, whatever it takes to get it done, I will hope that it gets done. And the stop and frisk procedure that Ms. Stewart brought up, I don't think she want the police director to contact her personally. But still, if whatever basic procedures without letting off too many, I guess, trade secrets, just let people know, what the police, can and cannot do when it comes to a stop and frisk.
He talked to her today, didn't he?
Say again?
Didn't he talk to her today? So what's the problem? He talked to her today.
Okay.
Out of it, stay, I'm telling
I don't know,
you, stay-
okay.
Stay out of it, stay
Okay.
out of it.
I don't like to come out of character.
Yes, you gotta stay out of it. I'm trying to
I
say.
spoke to the council. I
Yeah.
spoke to the chairperson. Now, it's easy to say somebody.
Excuse me,
Okay, hey,
you cannot talk from back there. You cannot talk from back
Point-
there.
I can come up and
You can't anymore, you did it already.
Point of order. All right, all right.
Can you make sure that
Miss-
No.
Council members, please.
Yeah, it's more to it, that's why I let it go, don't, it's more to it. It's more to it, it's more to it.
Council President.
per se.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Councilwoman Eason, let's just move on. Thank
Why
you.
would you bring it up again? It was done. You started.
Thank
It's
you.
more to it, that's what I'm telling you,
Just let it rest.
Thank you. Rosa Parks School this Friday is having a Read Across America. I don't know if the councilors got the email. They're asking for us to participate. And Mr. Mays, it's been a few missing lights in the council chambers for maybe the last few months. If we can, if you guys can take care of that, I would truly appreciate it. And on Saturday, April 27th, in the City Hall parking lot, from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., the city will have their Orange Resident Shredding event. So if you have some documents that need to be shredded, Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And Public Works, they did a fantastic job the other night removing the snow. When I got up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, I seen them, plowing from to curb to curb. The snow plan, from what I can see, is it's improving. We still have a little ways to go, but it's definitely improving. And I just want to thank Public Works and Mr. Wingfield and Marty for getting everything done in that manner. And I'm missing something else. The school play. Mr. Livingston came to share with us. I think that's going to be a good play. Years ago, my son was the lead character when they did the Guys and Dolls years ago, and it was a good event then, and I'm sure it's going to be a good production this go around. I think that's all I
Council
have.
President, can I announce these?
Say again?
May I make these announcements? May I make these announcements?
Yeah, that's all I have, Councilwoman Williams.
As a reminder, tomorrow at the Elk Lodge from 5 to 8 p.m., there will be a multicultural flag event, encouraging everybody to come out and celebrate the diversity of the city of Orange. And again, that's tomorrow night, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Elks Lodge, which is located at 475 Main Street. And then on Thursday, March 14th, at 11 a.m. here in Council Chamber, the mayor will host a talk with the seniors. The agenda includes 5 wishes, living will information presented by the Hospice of New Jersey, and State Health Insurance Assistance Program and Medicare and you. And transportation will be provided should you need it, as well as lunch. And if you need transportation, you should call 973-266-4048. 973-266-4048. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Ordinances, second reading, public hearing. 3-2019, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Orange Township adopting the Main Street redevelopment plan pursuant to NJSA 40:12A-7. Are there any citizens who wish to speak?
My name is Jeffrey Feld. You have my address. As to this ordinance, this is a Main Street with condemnation powers redevelopment plan. I made open requests for the original and the amended redevelopment plan. I have not received them. The redevelopment plans were not posted on the city's public website for people to look at it. This is a slide deck of a presentation. It is not the redevelopment plans. We're dealing with a very new area where there's been, in the last 3 weeks, 2 published appellate division cases talking about condemnation, redevelopment plans, and land banking. Yesterday's New Jersey Law Journal, there was a full-page article talking about what they call a new Galloway hearing. When there was the walk-on presentation, again, there was never been a notice conference meeting presentation on the redevelopment plan. There was a walk-on one where BA discussed that at the planning board meeting, the redevelopment plan was amended. I don't know how at a planning board meeting you can amend and adopt and approve action at that same meeting without giving notice. When you vote today, you're going to be voting on that the whole procedure went properly. Because you remember, any redevelopment ordinance is not subject to referendum challenge. A lawsuit has to be brought. So today, we're going to be relying on the opinion of our city attorney as to the validity of the whole procedure. That people have notice of what the redevelopment plan was. It was posted on the whether it was posted on the website, whether the plans were produced pursuant to Oprah. I've requested you just put it off to the next meeting to make sure the plans have been done. We heard earlier this evening that a file was given to the BA. Why the filing wasn't given to the BA is not an attorney. He's just looking at the business terms. He is an attorney, but he doesn't serve that role. The real question is, are we going to be relying on the opinion that it's implicit by the signature on the ordinance of our city attorney, or shouldn't we just require outside special counsel to just look at this and report back to us next meeting in 10 days? What is the problem for a delay in posting this redevelopment plan, the original redevelopment plan and the amended one on the public website and letting people do it? The reason it's important is because you have condemnation powers. That takes it out into a whole new world. And that's what these articles, and these are the 2 major cases. When you have Judge Sabatino and Judge Koblitz invalidating action by municipalities, it's sometimes to say, let's take a timeout. What's wrong in taking a timeout for one meeting to post this thing and to make sure it's done right? Otherwise, we're going to have litigation. The last line of the article in the Law Journal is, if someone beats you, who challenges it, you're going to be responsible for their legal fees.
Thank you, Mr. Phil.
Are there any other citizens? Motion to close citizen comments?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. Motion to adopt on final.
Oh, we got to do all in favor.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
On the motion.
Council President,
Yes.
through you to Mr. Hartwick. Mr. Hartwick, do you have any statements regarding, in response to what Mr. Feld just said?
Well, I don't serve as the attorney for the city. I looked at the file. I'm familiar with the procedural requirements. It appears to be in order. And there is no per se legal requirement to post the items on the website, although I do think it's good practice. I guess there are a number of items that the city is waiting for this plan to be able to move forward on. So there is some time sensitivity. And I would like to move it forward. If there turns out to be a fatal issue, procedural issue, you're going to be in no different position if you move it tonight or if you move it next week. It's going to have to be done over. So I would ask that the council go forward. I'll have the city attorney and an outside attorney review the file that was given to me. And if there's a problem, we'll be back to you. But at this point, I don't know of any problem.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Council President, what about the amendment and passage on the same night at the planning board thing?
There's no prohibition against a properly advertised public meeting and a deliberative process that results in an amendment if that amendment is approved by an appropriate motion and vote. So you guys do it all the time. Planning board does it in connection with multiple applications. So the particular amendments that were introduced or suggested by both the administration and the planners changed some of the language with regard to bank drive-throughs in connection with the redevelopment plan that was proposed. They're not major sort of, they're very technical in nature. And they were in response to a couple of projects that we're aware of. So it was either amend during the planning board hearing or shortly after it was approved, go back and amend it, and I chose to do the former as opposed to the latter.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Do we have the amended plan on file?
Yeah.
The clerk's office?
It's
I
the one that
don't
was
have it.
adopted.
That's the one that we just recently adopted?
It's the one that the planning board adopted and then forwarded to you.
I don't have it.
Yeah, you do. It's attached to the ordinance.
So then I don't have the original?
Probably not, because it wasn't adopted.
Anyone else on the motion?
Just to the law office, just so we can, okay. Thank you, I like we got me. We're good.
Roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
That's 5 yeas, 1 abstain, and 1 absent. Motion passed. An ordinance of the 4-2019, an ordinance of the City of Orange Township Municipal Council to establish a municipal open space recreation and historic preservation trust. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Motion.
Wait, motion to close, motion to close citizens' comments.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion to adopt on final?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion?
On the motion?
On the motion, Council. President,
Yes.
I just hope that everybody had an opportunity to read the document that the clerk had set forth. And again, this is an open space tax, and it will, Mr. Hartwood will have to do some budgeting to get it input into the budget, and we will not able to utilize it, I believe, until 2020, because it has to build. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome.
Roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, 1 absent. Motion passed. Ordinances on introduction, first reading. 8-2019, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 71, to require security cameras in senior citizens' buildings, sponsored by Councilmember Tensie A. Eason and Carrie J. Coley. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Eason. On the motion?
On the motion?
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Final reading will be April 2nd, 2019. 9-2019.
Council President, just before you go, I'm sorry, just make sure that the Lord, LRO and get together and do a memo regarding this before the public hearing. Just make sure we remind them
This.
on 8/2019.
Okay.
Okay.
9-2019 has been postponed until the March 19th meeting. Ten 2019 has also been postponed to the March 19th, and 11-2019 has been postponed to the March 19th, 2019 meeting. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Are there any items the council wish to remove for a separate vote?
Can you repeat which ones are being withdrawn?
68, 69, 76, 83, 84, and 85.
And we're going to remove 87 too for a separate, remove it for a separate vote because of the amendment?
Yes,
Okay.
87 and 81.
87 and 81? Remove
It was
for
a minor revision, just
Okay.
added slight language.
Okay, got it.
Consent agenda consists of 67, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 77, 78, 79, 80, 82, and 86. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Easton, second by Councilwoman Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion?
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
81-2019. A resolution authorizing change order number 1 from United Inc., 26 Welfare Drive, D, Somerset, New Jersey, 08873, for an increase to the contract for heating and air conditioning maintenance service at the Freddie Pole Hill Law and Justice Complex, 2529 Park Street, Orange, New Jersey, an amount not to exceed $8,760. The amendments is in the first whereas clause. It reads, whereas by way of Resolution 47-2017, that's what was added. And then the third whereas clause, it reads, whereas as a result, these demands have exceeded the award amount by a sum of $8,760, which is an increase of 19.10%. Is there a motion to adopt that?
Also in the first, the first
clause, now therefore be it resolved, the resolution number was also added in that.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt as amended?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Harold Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. On the motion,
On the motion?
seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
87-2019, a resolution approving the bill list for council meeting vote on March 5th, 2019, dated February 27, 2019, approving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with 2-95. The grand total is $5,398,807.77. Mr. Mapp, you said the water and sewer amount was added into here, right?
Actually, let me further describe what was actually added. If you have the new bill list, which is, if you look at pages, the new bill list has a total of 22 pages. If you look at pages 9, 10, and 11, the items added on page 9, the general capital account, which starts at the bottom of page 9. Then the following page, the grant fund. The next page, the general trust fund, CDBG. And basically this occurred as a result of human error where certain boxes that should have been checked were not. And as a result, just a portion of the bill list. This gives you the bill list in its entirety, with all the funds included.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a motion to adopt the bill list as amended?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harold Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Williams. On the motion,
On the motion?
seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson is absent. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Is there any new business? Any pending business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson, second by Councilman Johnson Jr.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 8:44 PM.